I saw a meme the other day that said, get that witch a jar. Witches love jars. And it delighted me because I love a jar. And then I thought what's interesting about the word witch is we've been taught that it means something terrible. But being a witch means taking nature and desire and making your dreams come true through creativity with it, which is what we do all the time. You might call it praying, and when you change the proper noun to being a witch, it feels wrong, but that's all it is. At the end of the day, it's taking nature and desire and creation and making what you want to have happen. That's called being a witch to me. You can be a witch and still go to your Episcopalian church, and I do.
Kirsten's Agenda is the name of my show. It's a way to make art and learn stuff and grow. There will be lots of segments and maybe some guests. 10 minutes of deep breath, that is my quest. If while we're here, then our insights expand to be more compassionate to our fellow man and woman and person. And remember, the truth is that kindness is cool. Have sex with my feelings and being cruel. Because our power, it lies in our minds and our hearts. Opening up is a really good place to start. Kirsten's Agenda.
This week is about learning, and I thought I would do something cool, and I would go on Clubhouse, which I don't know anything about, and teach myself that experience of being on Clubhouse while doing a recording of Kirsten's Agenda. And I did that last night. Maybe some of you were there for that. I did it wrong. Learning is hard. When I used to do Kirsten's Agenda at the beginning, it was like, I just had this, my iPhone and whatever. And then it was like, well, let's make it a little, more like an actual show. And when they approached me, the people that helped make this, when they approached me with it, I was like, sure. And then just to get the camera and just to set this up, I was full of so much apathy and rage for weeks, and still sometimes a little bit. And when the sound stopped working the other day and I had that buzzy thing in the mic and they were like, Kirsten, you have to fix it. I just shut down. I was like, I can't, I don't. And I play at Computer Genius on a television show. I know this 5-year-old creature who is very dear to me, and they are learning how to read. And I used to be a substitute teacher for years. It was my day job. And I love helping people learn. I take great joy in that, in doing it in a way that feels empowering and pointing out what people are doing correctly. I like that. So I'm sitting with this creature and they're very frustrated because they don't know how to read. I mean, they're getting way better, really fast, but they say, this is hard. This is why I'm actually doing this learning thing today. They said, this is hard, this little 5-year-old creature. And I said, I know it's hard because it's learning. And learning, you're learning because it's not easy. Learning is not supposed to be easy. If it was easy, it would be called, and this little 5-year-old creature said it would be called Fun Nation. And I don't know what that means, but they are right. It would be called Fun Nation. Learning is difficult. I think that when you're learning stuff, it's subtle. And then we grow up and we have to read. We can choose if we want to teach ourselves to be authentically ourselves and attune to that. But that takes practice and learning. And those things are so subtle. And sometimes I will beat myself up and be like, I'm not doing that right. Not realizing like there's these little subtle changes. And that act of like getting on your own case makes you learn less. And I think that how you learn is really important. You get taught these things, right? And your brain makes up these I think I'm using the right words, but I might not be. Okay. Your brain has these neural pathways, right? Let's say. And you get taught to think this certain way. I've gotten taught to learn in a certain way, to see people in a certain way, to understand things in a certain way. And you're so used to that. Okay, here's an example. And I said this last night when I was doing the clubhouse thing. Um, the mic messed up. Here's an example of an old way, an old slippery way. I didn't have anybody in my world that I knew of that was trans growing up, or up until my late 20s. But when I first encountered someone that was trans, I didn't know what to do with that information in me. And my reaction inside my mind was, there's something wrong with that. Like, that's different than what I know. So there's something wrong with them. And I remember being backstage of a show, or we were talking about someone we knew and I didn't say anything particularly mean, but I said something a little like, well, I don't. And one of the other people in the play with me, we were backstage, turned around and said, something short of like, that's not okay, what you just said about that person. And that first contract, like, but they're not, no, but they're what? And I didn't understand, and my whole insides are like, ah. And I had a period of time where I was like, no, but I think it all settles in my brain is kind of going like, but they're not, they must be wrong because I don't understand it. Like, that was my takeaway. And by years of not only exposure, but teaching myself, then it becomes incredibly like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's a very valid way to live and be. And it's just as normal or not as all of us. But more than the learning, the way that my brain reacted to that was just this old pattern of, that's different than me. I'm going to have this response. And you just slide down that hill of conditioning in your mind, right? It's this downhill slide covered in butter and lube and everything. It's just so slippery and easy to get down. And to relearn something that you've been taught is okay, especially something that makes you contract, especially something that makes you make the world smaller and meaner. You have to you have to make a new pathway, and it can be hard. It can be hard this is me with a spoon digging upward with just a little spoon. Because you got to make a new path. And then once you make that new path, it's the most normal thing in the world.
Previously, on the garden in front of the tiger's chest. Uzaka, it's not okay. I'm telling you, it's not. Forcioni, listen to me. Dating someone of a different gender doesn't make you straight. It's a spectrum. It's a spectrum? It's a spectrum. Stay tuned next week for the following week's episode of New Episodes.
Red bell pepper and nuts in a blender taste like cheese. What? If you think I'm lying, well, just try it yourself, please. There is stuff out there we refuse to learn because we're so scared to believe. New things that will make us question the old thoughts that we cleave to. Hey, we can learn new things and not be a fathead. Hey, I can grow up and be grounded and kind instead. Learning keeps you young and wobbly, all Bambi-like. And that's where I will stay all of my life. I feel like I always do the same note at the end. I'm going to work on that.